In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Ethereum to the US dollar. I'll give you my update on what I think the price action is leading us towards and where I think the price of Ethereum is headed next. So if you're already in Ethereum, if you already own some, or if you're looking for a new Ethereum position, hopefully this video will help you out and give you some guidance towards when you can either buy or sell Ethereum next. In my previous update on Ethereum, I had us moving downwards one more time to sub $1,400 before I was going to call in the bottom of Ethereum. Now I'm using multiple different tools and techniques here called Elliott Wave Theory, and I used Fibonacci Retracements. And if you're not yet familiar with those, I do have guides on all of them. I'll give you brief summaries as I'm going, but I would highly recommend you check out my playlists and tutorials on each of these things if you want to learn and understand more about the things that I'm using, because they are a bit too complex to go over in full in this one video here. So the first thing I'm going to give you a brief introduction towards is called Elliott Wave Theory. Now, Elliott Wave Theory basically states that the market trends in these things called waves, and waves are basically just moves up and down in the market. It states that the market trends in waves of 5 upwards in the motive direction, and it looks something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then after this 5-wave move is in, a 3-wave counter trend move comes in like this. It's called ABC. Now there are all sorts of different rules and guidelines towards what's valid, how you actually label these numbers on the chart and everything like that. But like I said, I actually have a 10-part playlist on Elliott Wave Theory. If you want to learn all about this, it's about 2 hours of content. It's super in-depth, and that's because the rules are so specific to actually help you understand where the market is headed next. So if you want to learn more, if you don't know anything about Elliott Wave Theory, this will give you a brief introduction, but I would highly recommend you go check out more. So now if we just take a zoomed out look on Ethereum here, basically what I have from our March 2020 lows, our COVID lows when Ethereum was under $100, is this yellow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it should look similar to that example I just drew. And now essentially we're looking for that ABC to come down and a finish for Ethereum. That's what we've been looking for quite a while now, where we've been in this corrective price action since our highs of May 2021. So let's actually dive deep into this and see where are we in that larger ABC, because if we can figure out where we are, if we've already done that A, if we're already working on that C, if we're just on the B right now, if we can figure out where we are, it'll help us understand where the next major move of the market actually is. So starting from our highs up here, one thing that I think is super clear and that I've had for quite a long time on my chart is this green 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. This is an impulse downwards from our top peak up here of about $4,400 that brought us to about $1,700 on Ethereum. I really like how this counts as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I'm going to leave this in, and I have this labeled as the blue A wave right here. Now previously I had this as an A, B, C into here, where our B wave is a triangle and then our C wave is finished, and I had all of this as just the start of our correction. So I told you I was looking for an ABC from the top. This actually was just forming the W wave, and it looks something like this, where in an ABC right here forms this W, and then we were looking for another ABC to form an X, and then I was looking for one more final ABC downwards to form a Y wave, which would finish our red 2 right here. I'm going to put the wave on that. I'm going to turn up the degree, and I'll show you a different color here so you can see exactly what I was looking for. So I thought all this was our W, our X here, and our Y here. Basically, instead of A, B, C, some things are going to be labeled W, X, Y, and it depends what each of the waves inside of the waves are. So inside of our A wave, we have a 5-wave structure, but if we have an A, B, C to make up just part of the first correction, it's a W instead of an A, essentially. Again, if you want to learn more all about this, check out that playlist. I won't go too much more into depth into this, but this is what I was looking for, a huge WXY to finish our correction at around $1,300 on Ethereum. Now, of course, since price action has moved quite a bit, we did not peak in this area that I thought we would for our C wave up here, and instead we went sideways all throughout this price action in time right here. So about all of August into here, we were basically just sideways, and then we got one more push upwards. So this pretty much invalidates my thoughts of this being an ABC into here. So at this point, you can take a step backwards, delete that, and rethink the count. Now, it's really important to realize that in Elliott Wave Theory, we're often wrong with our predictions. It's impossible to know what's going to happen in the future, and we're just working off of probabilities. So, of course, even if you have an 80% probability of being correct, let's just say, 1 out of every 5 times, you're going to be wrong. That's just something you have to deal with and admit and let that happen to you in the market because you're not always going to be correct. So my initial thoughts of our peak into here before the final push downwards was, of course, incorrect. So where does that actually leave us? I'm going to delete this arrow into here, and let's just take a couple different thoughts into this. Now, the first thought here is that the ABC downwards could actually be the whole correction. I told you from our peak up here, we're looking for an ABC, and so what if this actually was just the end of our correction? Now, one thing that really supports this is that there actually is a 5-wave structure off of the bottom right here. So if this was an ABC, that means our 2-wave would be in over here at the bottom of our C, and then we'd be starting this red 3rd wave. Now, inside of the red 3rd wave, there needs to be another 5-wave structure inside of it. And it's very possible that this right here would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up just like this. This actually looks pretty clean as a 5-wave structure. You get a relatively deep 2-wave into here. It almost retraces the entire 1-wave, but we do catch it just a little bit lower into here. If we zoom into these 2 pivots, you can see that the one on the left, if I hover my mouse there, is definitely lower than the one on the right. So this is valid as a 1-2, even though it's unlikely. And the unlikeliness is why I have it labeled as an ABC at first, because it's much more likely with a depth this deep that this is an AB instead of a 1-2. However, at this point, I see 5 waves. So we have this 1-2, a nice 3 upwards that's super strong and impulsive, a sideways 4, which is exactly what you like to see in a 4th wave, sideways price action, and then one final push upwards for a strong 5th wave into here. And not only that, we've already gotten a nice correction from the top of our 5th wave into there. So off of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which could be just an overall 1 wave looking for the 2, 3, 4, 5, I'd have to turn up the degree here, change the color so I can separate it. This could be our 1 wave of our red 3rd wave into here. So once this white 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 finished, and I'll just template it out right now. Of course, this is not a prediction. I'm just randomly placing these numbers. Let's say we get price action that looks like this, where this is our 1 wave. We're going to correct a little bit more for our 2, then go 3, 4, 5. This would all be the end of our red 3rd wave if that's the case. And if this is actually truly happening, then Ethereum is going to see all-time highs relatively soon. Now, if we just take a look and zoom back out, see what this would actually look like on the overall grand scheme of things, this is where I have a major problem with this being the count, with our bottom actually being into here, and this is the start of our impulse upwards to continue longer on. The main issue I see with this is that our red 1 wave into here started in March of 2020 and ended in May of 2021. That's about 14 months of impulsive movement upwards. And then if we were to say our correction ended into here, this is in June of 2021, and this is the middle of May, near the end of June, so just over 1 month. In other words, we would have had to go upwards for 14 months and correct for only 1 month for this to actually be the 1-2. Overall, that gives me a pretty bad sign because that sort of time difference really doesn't happen very often. The two should be at least 38 to 50% the amount of time of the one wave, unless it's super, super deep in depth. Oftentimes, depth and time kind of trade off with each other. So let's put a Fibonacci retracement on it just to see if we can validate the depth relative to time. Although even just looking at it, I can tell you that this isn't deep enough to validate this short of a time, but let's just see what it actually is. I'll use a Fibonacci retracement and I'll pull it from the bottom to the top up here. Now, if you don't know about Fibonacci retracements, I do have one tutorial video on this. It's only about 10 minutes long. You should go check it out. Basically, what this retracement is telling you is the percentage pullback of the entire move. So we're pulling it from the bottom down here all the way to the top up here. Those are the 2 clicks of our Fibonacci retracement. And then if we come down to this red line, let's just say right here, you can see it reads 0.5. That means that this is a 50% retracement to the red line, or this is the halfway mark between our bottom and our top up here. Now, oftentimes with Elliott Wave Theory, the 2-wave falls between the red line, the 50%, and the yellow line, the 65%, as a general guideline for retracement. And you can actually see the 2 falls perfectly between our gold and yellow line right here. And this is actually called our golden zone, and it's my favorite spot to take any sort of bullish trade. Anytime you get the opportunity to buy in a golden zone, you should absolutely be taking it. Now, like I said, this is the most common spot for a 2-wave to actually fall, but then we go back to the whole time problem of this. This 2 is normal in depth, and it's less than 10% of the time of the 1 wave. This almost never happens, and so I don't want to move forward with this as my count. I'd rather look for an alternative that better supports probabilities. Now, of course, it's very possible that the bottom is in. This is the 1, we're working on the 2, and then we go start forming all-time highs from here. I'm not saying it's impossible, it's just that the probability isn't in our favor, so I'm going to look for different alternatives of what this could be. Now, I do like this 5-wave structure. I do like all the subdivisions that I have onto here, but I think I need to rethink it just a little bit. I'm going to remove some of these things off of my chart just to make sure that I'm not biasing my thoughts moving forward. And then zoom back into the chart here. So I do really like this 5-wave structure. This puts in a bottom of this move over here. It's super strong impulsively downwards. I think this is still definitely an A wave on some sort of degree. Now we have to figure out where this B and the C will fall. Now, because I'm making the case that the correction isn't over, our B wave needs to be coming in either here or sometime else in the future. The one thing we know is that since this is a 5-wave move downwards, we cannot break above this high and still have our count be valid. If this is a 5-wave move down, our overall corrective structure has to be a zigzag, and the B cannot break above the start of the A on our zigzag. So just by looking at this right here, it almost looks like I would want to label this already as our B wave, because if we were to put in one more move upwards, we'd be cutting it really, really close to the top up here. And that would mean that the C wave would be coming down still, putting in this move downwards. So now how can we actually validate this? Well, since we have this pink 5-wave structure already onto my chart, I actually think there's a relatively clear way of counting this. Now, I didn't see it in the past, but now that we have this 5-wave move up to here, I think that right here is actually our A wave of this B wave into here. This down to here is our B wave, and then we're actually already formed the top of our C wave of our B. Let me turn on the degree and go through that one more time, because I know it's hard to understand waves within waves. So let me change that to a green, and let's resort this around right here. Make sure we got the degrees correct. So the lower one there is minuet, and then we go up to a minute degree on this green one into here. And I think this is pretty good. So we have this 5-wave move down into here. This forms our white A wave of our larger ABC correction. Now inside of our white B wave, we need to have an ABC itself. And that's where our green ABC comes into here. We get a pretty impulsive move upwards for our A into here. A B wave that doesn't A B wave that actually breaks below the start of our A wave into here, which is totally okay. This is known as an expanded flat. And then a final 5-wave move, which we already talked about earlier, to make up this C wave into here. Now, one thing you can see with this 4th wave into here is that, as I was saying, it's very sideways in price action, which is extremely characteristic of a 4th wave. Now, I could go in and probably validate some sort of 4th wave price action into here, but just by eyeballing it, it looks like some sort of triangle is actually being formed. I'll grab my A, B, C, D, E, and let's just say our peak is somewhere in either this spot or this spot. I think our A is likely down there. Our B is up here, so we have a running triangle where the B comes above the start of the A. Our C comes down into here, our D into here, and then our E finally ends into here. So let's redraw the trend lines based on this triangle. Our 4 would move over to here, the bottom of our E. We connect our A and our C into here, and then our B and our D. And without trying to validate too much into this count into here, because there's just so much choppy price action, it just immediately looks like either a 4th wave or some sort of B wave, but I'm going with a 4th wave in this case because I think we're in a 5-wave move upwards. This definitely looks like a 4th wave triangle. So as I was saying, we have this A wave right here, which since the B comes below it, the A needs to be a 3-wave structure. And I think that's actually pretty clear as well. Very clearly A, B, C up into that A wave. Now we need to turn that a degree by a significant amount into there. Change the color so you can see A, B, C. I think that's the best way to count this A wave. And that leads us into the B wave into here, A, B, C into the B wave. Breaks below the start of the A, like I said, expanded flat, and then the C wave needs to be a 5-wave structure. So the green C is made up of this pink 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, overall forming an expanded flat ABC into our B wave right here, which is just the A, B of an overall zigzag. So as you can see, tons of waves within waves. It's a bit hard to follow, but 10-second recap, I think we have a zigzag ABC structure forming where the B of the zigzag has just finished up here with our final move up above $4,000 as an expanded flat structure, and now we're still heading downwards towards that C wave into there. This would finish our 2-wave, put our bottom in for Ethereum, and give you an amazing buying opportunity before we start to head upwards towards all-time highs. Now, something else I've recently added to my toolkit is actually looking at the moon phases. Now, it doesn't affect every ticker, it doesn't affect every stock, but for some reason, the moon phases have been really good historically on Ethereum. If you're using TradingView, you can go to indicators and search up moon phases into here, and you can put this onto your chart. I'm going to toggle it on just so you can see how significant it actually has recently been. So you can see we have a full moon up into here. So you can see these lighter colored moons into here are our new moons, and the darker colored moons are our full moons. The new moon predicted the top of Ethereum perfectly into here, almost to the exact day, and then we downtreaded almost until the full moon came in. So this actually came in about 3 days late relative to our low into here, but it's relatively close. And then we got sideways price action pretty much until this new moon, when again, it was about a day late into here and predicting the end of this sideways action, but then we went downwards, trending down until this full moon into here, new moon up into here, full moon again down here, new moon, full moon, and then we had a new moon pretty much predicting the top of this again right into here. So if you just go off of the moon phases, which I'm not strongly recommending, it's just something I started recently looking into and putting onto my chart. You can look at this historically as well of how good these actually have been at predicting the highs and lows in the market. The next full moon actually comes in on the 20th of this month. So if I just put a red line around there, maybe that day or within a couple days, we'll actually start to form some sort of relative bottom on Ethereum. Now, I'm not saying that's when we're actually going to get down to this potential $1,300 target, but just another small thing to keep in mind. But anyways, let's go back and predict where this C wave actually might be. There's a few things we can do to make this prediction. So the first one is channeling from the top of our A wave up to here, so where our A wave started, to the top of our B wave, which we're projecting to be into here, and I'll put that channel onto it, and we'll just click at the bottom of our A wave into here. Now, so far, this parallel channel doesn't really look significant. We haven't used this median line too much at all, and we haven't touched the bottom of this trend line at all. I'm going to do a slight adjustment into here, see if maybe this pivot is better. It doesn't really look much better, so I'll leave this onto my chart, but I'll hide it here because so far it's not really significant. I don't think we really need to use it. The next thing we can do is use our Fibonacci trend. The next thing we can use our trend-based Fib extension tool. So this is going to measure the relative lengths to each other. Again, I have a tutorial on this. It's about a 10-minute video. Go check it out if you want to learn more. I'm going to click at the top and the bottom of our A wave, and this is going to capture the length of our A wave. And then I'm going to click at the end of our B wave into here. And I'll just pull this sideways and then click up here. And now a really common spot for our A to C ratio is 1:1, which is this pink line right here. It would mean that our A and our C are equal in length. So we're getting some confluence with a previous blue support and resistance line that we had drawn into here, and this pink line into here. So I'm going to just draw a box onto that right into here. It's a pretty tight zone now between about 1330 and 1370 as a potential bottom into there. I'll delete that trend-based Fib extension tool off of my chart to keep it clean, and I think this is still going to be my prediction moving forward. I don't think our correction is quite done. Maybe it'll finish sometime in October. And I'm looking for some sort of 5-wave move off of our top. Now this is pretty impulsive so far, so maybe it is our 1 wave or it's just the start of our 1 wave of our C wave into here, but our move should look something like this as we come downwards. Need to turn on a degree. I'll change the color to separate into here. Let's put on the wave, and this is roughly what I'd be looking for on the way down. It's a bit too early to put in price predictions of where I think the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5 will actually be inside of this move, but I'd be looking for something similar to this to head downwards, because this white C wave right near needs to be a 5-wave move downwards to finish us. Now, if we finish sometime in mid to late October, as this is predicting, or maybe in early November, where our bottom would actually come in, that would be a much better time length of correction. That'd be about a 5-month correction relative to a 14-month move upwards, and that's about 1/3 of the time of the correction, which again is a little bit on the shorter side, but not unlikely anymore, and that's actually a relatively good ratio. So lastly, let's talk about potential trade options into here. If you're looking for a short potential trade, if you're looking for a short trade on Ethereum, I would wait for this bottoming price action to move. If you're looking for the next best potential trade on Ethereum, I think that a short is probably the next best short-term trade you can make. I would wait for this price action to bottom into here and then put a Fibonacci retracement from the top to wherever a bottom is. It looks like we'll probably have one more kick downwards before this finishes, and then buy in the golden zone of that. So if this pushes down to here, and then retraces upwards to either this red line or this yellow line, I think that's when you could take a trade as the next best opportunity to play it for the 3rd wave. So this would be our 1, 2, and you'd be playing this 3rd wave downwards, taking some profit there, and then maybe holding a little bit for that final 5th wave into there. If you don't want to short Ethereum, which personally I'm not planning to short Ethereum, I'm still long in the crypto market and I've been long for quite a long time. I base my portfolio in crypto, so I'm never really out of crypto unless I'm in a short position. If I were you, and what I'm personally doing is waiting for the long opportunity. So if we were to come down to this zone on Ethereum, as I've been stating for quite a long time now, around $1,300, I believe this is when you should be taking a long position and absolutely loading up. I'm going to be buying as much as possible inside of this zone because I do believe that if we come down to $1,300, we're going to see all-time highs and significantly higher highs shortly afterwards. If this is the red 1-2 of our overall move on Ethereum, we would use that same trend-based fib extension tool and click from our wave 1 of our red lows, measure the length of our 1 into here, put it at our potential 2 into here, and the most common spot for a red third wave to fall is between this 1.618 and 1.75 into here. Then we'd of course get the 4 and the 5 afterwards, but just looking at that third wave for now, that would put a target of Ethereum between $8,200 and $9,000 essentially. So if you were to buy in $1,300 range, you'd be making potentially the best potential trade. So if you can buy in this $1,300 range, I think this is the generational trade on Ethereum where you're going to 8x or so on your investment. So those are my current thoughts on Ethereum. Now, if we were to continue going upwards, if we break above this 4,400 high into here, I will actually have to rethink my prediction again because like I said, we can't have a 5-wave A downwards right here and then a B that breaks above our 1-wave high into here. Until that happens, this is my prediction, and I still think we're going to correct a little bit longer on Ethereum before we get the buying opportunity of a lifetime. So if you made it this far, just a couple quick things. One, I have a free Discord. It'll be free forever. If you want to trade with me and chat with me and get real live updates, come click on my Discord and join it. It's in the description. And like I said, it'll be free forever. And lastly, if you made it this far into this video, you probably like this content. Do me a favor and click that like and subscribe buttons below. This means a lot to me. It really helps support my channel, and it'll help YouTube suggest similar videos to you so that you find what you're looking for. So with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and as always, good luck trading.